you everyone for your very hard work in making Israeli Apartheid Week such a successful event. Clearly, the kind of backlash that we're facing right now is a measure of the success of organizing around Israeli Apartheid Week, and a number of people have been noting this lately, and I think it's worth paying attention to. I'm going to read a couple of poems. The first, I guess, poses the question of my own implication. It's from a sequence called Ghazals in Fugue. Into the wilds, some cliché of the wilds. It's not the war we flee north from Toronto. That year we're not at war. Gone to cottage like white folks and compose queer idols, break our fast at the colonial, stock up at Nasser, say that's not war. With our weight in lebne, mint, parsley, burgle, beans for fool, lamb for kibbeh, we beg no guarantee of country. Anything but war until the third bottle of wine allows someone to ask if in Lebanon I am that man, if not that war my father wanted. You want to know what bargains with snow will I make? Were my cousins not in that war? Would I not have been with them at Sabra, at Shatila? Naive to the war, I break all our glasses. This Ghazal's form, smiling. So that poem positions me, I suppose, as someone who is mixed race, passes as white, Lebanese Canadian, Maronite, and complicatedly in relationship to any work of solidarity with Palestinian people, given the enormous violence of the Christian Phalange against Palestinians in Lebanon. This next poem is for Mahmoud Darwish, and it raises the question, of course, of what a poem for Mahmoud Darwish could be. If it were, could it be a poem?
Trish, could you speak up?
Oh, are folks not hearing?
It's at the maximum.
Oh, okay.
But please speak up.
Sure. Sorry if I'm not projecting. What is a poem for Mahmoud Darwish? What poem could be? If it were, could it be a poem for a broken into map? A map breaking into how you are as a person, how a person is written into the land or the earth, the field of minds, no fig trees. Where does a map fold, turn itself up, turn into frayed upon edge? And how are you as a person unwritten? They're ripping at tears, phrase behind a word for fabric, behind the word for sesame bread, light curving under and into a sun-yellow taxi, stopping there for how many days, ink curling into white. By fiat, ripping away this layer of the world, ripping it down. You call out, and I the sky like people resists. The sky, like sky, does not know, does not wish to be ground down. The sky, like sky, will not be pulled low, though they raise earth and boil air, drop fire and turn all to stone. For where sky was meant to be, light carving puts people under and into, ink carving puts people under and into. Here a poem, here a map, here you resist. Thanks. This poem is after Mahmoud Darwish's Beyond Identification. As in a dream, in the news, memories fall out of the television. There is the haunch man selling you out. A lover once, as we all were, we all who live in a city, must ask, where am I? When the city turns its people out, exhausted, and coerced by its new masters. An uncle says, never mind, we submit our dreams for review. There are days we can do little else. Forfeiting memory in Beirut with this hand on a car door, and then my uncle's hand no longer his, no longer hand. Nothing waits, it anticipates, and then the push of light, flying blood and a cry, back to the family home. Later, the anxiety of a plane going up or down, the question, What do you report? For whom? An uncle can become cautionary, does not give up his words, but the heroism of the metaphor. A journalist does not emerge unscathed. Why should he? Who goes back to the family home? Tumbling a pine cone into Diman by way of television explosions in Rafah. This poem is a little rough. I wrote it today for the Ontario Legislative Assembly. It's in two parts. Some of you are just following orders. Some of you are lazy. Some of you are misguided. Some of you think Palestinians are terrorists, primitives, animals. Some of you hide your anti-Semitism behind your Zionism. Some of you are utterly indifferent. Some of you hide your fascism, your neoliberalism behind your Zionism. Some of you are terrified by the failure of your liberalism. Some of you see only the Holocaust, see only one. Some of you enjoy the convenience of this war for your war. Some of you hate Muslims, think all Palestinians are Muslims. Some of you hate students and activists, no matter what they are doing. Some of you are reconsidering. Some of you imagine Israel as the best case scenario for the developing world. Some of you are righteous. Some of you are paralyzed. Some of you are politicians. Some of you supported apartheid in South Africa, would support it still given the chance. 2. With thanks to Willowdale MPP Peter Sherman and apologies to Cesar Vallejo's poem Imperial Nostalgias. I do not even know, can we ask, who this hatred, this Israel is for? Oh, democratic state, oh, rule of law, oh, human rights. Hang the suffering victims like bloody, like true apartheid, like in South Africa of old. Do not listen to the South Africans, Tutu Mandela. Hang them, hang democracy, hang education, individual freedom, human rights. We must defend oneself, Israel, ourselves, from aggressors. Do you hear them label Israel, calling Canada apartheid, attacking Canadian values? Perhaps they would enjoy being arrested. I would enjoy them being arrested, hearing their words die, their hate speech crossing that line. It is a bitterness, a blessing, our political challenges. Oh, democratic state, oh, rule of law, oh, human rights. My resolution, and I'm paraphrasing the Honourable MPP, anyone else can debate such issues anytime, any place, but Israeli Apartheid Week in our hate-free public forum, it has no place. Why? It is assumptive. Its name is a name, it is hateful. It is odious, a word that cannot be said. It is not how things should be in Ontario, not our Ontario. Our Ontario is not about drawing lines, partitions, security fences, unilateral positioning, sometimes using even outright intimidation to make a point. It is their race, bestial and deformed, between different elements in the landscape of our beautiful democratic society, our Ontario. Who fights battles 10,000 kilometers away? For Gaza, aftermath, March 29, 2009. The Israeli military announced the result of their internal investigation today. There were no war crimes in Gaza, they discovered. The alleged soldiers who came forward horrified, allegedly guilt-struck at the massacre alleged of civilians alleged, they were exaggerating, the tribunal discovered, to make a point. Land Day, March 30th, 1976. 1. The government said security and settlement and called curfew for Saknin, Araba, Deir Henna, Tamra, Turan, Kabul, sent in 4,000 police and the IDF. Israel Koenig advised they, I quote, cement long-term Jewish national interests, end quote, and, quote, examine the possibility of diluting existing Arab population concentrations, end quote. 2. Without land, you fear you are not you, that you will be robbed of your face, your spirit. Without a place to lie down, how might you turn, rise, might you fly upon the moment? We all want to be light, but there is always a plummet. We must alight. You must come to land. In a land you may not own, this may be impossible. Our histories make a lie of home. Home is a blood-soaked word, I know. But if you are to be a person, you need a place to plant your feet. You need a place to build your house. And if you are to grow olives, fig, or lemon trees, how might you live if you do not come back to land, if you do not take back land? You may not own, but the land, be sure, it has been stolen. Two more poems. One for Suhair Hamad. I am a tunnel, she said, meaning not the route to her beloved Brooklyn. Home away from, meaning something you bomb, something exploded. Reuters runs photos of the aftermath. What is aftermath? When something has happened. Many things happened, but there is no end in sight. What is the math of after? It's calculus. Reuters runs photos. Here are two women sitting in the rubble. What is rubble? These were homes. Sitting in the rubble, what were homes in Rafah? Homes near tunnels two women lived near. Tunnels meaning a lifeline of food and medicine, or something you bomb, something exploded. I am, she said, exploded, though born into demolition. And this last piece was occasioned by World Pride, which happened in Jerusalem during the same time of an earlier assault on Gaza and the invasion of Lebanon. Next year in Jerusalem, where are we at home with questions? Might a place put questions to lovers, to would-be lovers, lovers of peace? Might a place make a word up, take up in the shadow of two soldiers taken, disappeared in the after before, of how many Palestinians, unspoken their disappearance, disappeared thousands upon? Might this place stand on one side of a border or another? Might it stand in the girth of an impossible line like two soldiers gone from Shaba Farms? Might it be an alibi or headline fodder? For 1,000 or so Lebanese dead, 1 million or so routed from their homes, for the ruins of their homes. Such liberation coming together in Jerusalem for once. Christian, Jewish, and Muslim accord, condemning queer contamination of the holy places. If there was a reason to go, that accord in hate was it. But how might men share a kiss or a caress as their homes are shelled? How might women march together, fuck one another under the force of occupation? 2. From the West, the gayest of lovers need only run with pride on and over Lebanon, Palestine, where fire, stones fall, and the sky is turned against its own people. To get to Jerusalem, where Stonewall is invoked, to build another wall higher than that other, between the living and those unimagined living beneath the breadth of an impossible line. Hundreds of them, thick dull swaths of earth separating each possible life, near or nearer still to its own death. Thanks very much.